Neno hili si hivyo. Mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, William Ruto is in serious political panic because Edwin Sifuna has finally dropped the hint. Edwin Sifuna is going to join Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka. And that move is going to affect William Ruto in a very big way.
On Sunday, at a rally in Nairobi, Eugene Omalo, the leader of DAP-K, among the other leaders of the United Alternative Government, as they call it now, said, we'd like to reach out to Sifuna and the others who were in Kakamega yesterday. Let's work together, because all of us have the same objective, one term for William Ruto. Will you reach out to them?
I think there is a general acceptance, if you speak to ordinary Kenyans, is that we need an overwhelming repudiation of William Ruto and everything that he stands for. You know? It has to be overwhelming. We must beat William Ruto by at least 5 million votes. Just Kenyans to demonstrate we reject this sort of thing. So that it is a lesson and a precedent for the entire country that if you ever build a government that does not listen to the people, we will send you home. That precedent is critical for the future of this country. Yeah. So in order for you to achieve that overwhelming repudiation, there is a common understanding amongst the population that we must approach this election as a unit. We must be one force against William Ruto. Yeah. I want to give this assurance here because there's people who think that our movement is going to split the vote or anything like that. Yeah. That is not what our intention is. I want to assure anybody who believes that our country cannot afford another 5-year term for William Ruto, we will not be the problem. That's what I'm telling Kenyans this morning. We will not be the problem. Because I can't countenance waking up and hearing William Ruto has won elections by 100,000 votes or 200,000 like he did last time. So the members of the United Opposition, let them keep doing what they are doing. I said one time that when you go hunting for an animal, that is dangerous because we are not under any illusion that it's going to be easy. This guy has the state. He has proclivities, inclinations to violence. You have seen it. It is possible for him to manufacture situations such as we've seen in Uganda and in Tanzania to ensure that we don't campaign, you know. So we know that we are up against it. Let nobody think that we think it is an easy thing. No, we are up against a very wily politician. We have to give him his flowers. He knows his stuff. So we must accept that he has certain strengths and then agree that those strengths that he has does not allow much room for sentiment within the opposition ranks.
Right.
All of us must be able to agree and say, this is the formula that will take this gentleman home. When you are hunting an animal that is dangerous, you don't all come in from one direction. You know?
Approach it from different angles.
Yes, you approach it from here as well. But I'm happy that now we are seeing them in Kisii, we are seeing them in other places. All of us must wake up the spirit of the nation and say, this is a moment that we need to set that precedent, that the people are supreme.
And personally, I'm not surprised because politics is about interest and betrayal. Those are the only two constants in politics. And for Edwin Sifuna, he had no other option. Because even if Raila Odinga was alive, I can assure you, if Raila was alive and he told ODM to support Ruto, Edwin Sifuna had made up his mind. And the fact that he made his mind publicly on multiple occasions, supporting Ruto would have dented his image beyond redemption.
I cannot begrudge anyone who thinks that supporting William Ruto is the best thing. And I like some of them, by the way, because they have come out boldly to say, after Raila died, my party leader is now so-and-so. They have said it openly, which is what actually democracy requires. And nobody can begrudge you for taking that position. But also, don't feel bad when people take positions that are opposed to yours. Now, Yvonne, when we go argument by argument, my personal feeling is that we will win every single argument. In fact, we have won every single argument on values, on ideology, on where the country needs to go, the sort of society we need to build. There is only one argument they are saying is remaining, and it's a physical fight. You understand? And you know, violence is the language of somebody who has lost the argument. These days, all they do is just to threaten, oh, we will come, we will kick you out, we will throw you out, we will beat you, including, Yvonne, can you believe it, that goons were allowed into the venue of a Central Committee meeting in Kilifi?
So the move by Edwin Sifuna to join Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka is significant politically speaking. And I want to talk about it. Because remember, politics is about only two constants, the interest and the betrayal. What is the political interest of Edwin Sifuna? And just like I keep on repeating, as long as the political interest of the political players can converge, they will always work together. That's why I'm not surprised that Edwin Sifuna is going to work with Rigathi Gachagua, despite the fact that Rigathi Gachagua was one of Raila Odinga's biggest political enemies. In fact, up to now, Rigathi Gachagua has never bothered even to attend or visit the family of Raila Odinga after he passed on.
Nyinyi jamii ya Wamugusi, mumeenda hasara kubwa hapo beleni. Mulikuwa hamwendi kwa meza ya kitaifa direct, mulikuwa mnatumia broker huko ODM. Akipata serikali anakula peke yake, anamwacha kwa mataa.
But let me also remind you that don't rule out the possibility of William Ruto working with Kalonzo Musyoka, because politics is about interest. But in this video, I want us to analyze or ask ourselves several questions about the move by Sifuna. Before we do that, for those who are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, Edwin Sifuna is going to support Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua, and their aim is to make William Ruto one term. But there are several questions about Edwin Sifuna's move. The first question is, will he finally dump ODM party, or will he be able to kick Oburu Odinga and the group out of ODM party, or what will he do? Because we all know that Edwin Sifuna is the Secretary General of the party. I think he has been kicked out. But Edwin Sifuna is hoping to continue surviving politically under ODM party. In fact, the strength of Edwin Sifuna today is not because of anything. It's because he was removed as the SG by Oburu Odinga and the group. Oburu Odinga and the group are currently serving or are currently supporting William Ruto's re-election. That re-election of William Ruto is kind of unpopular. And that's why most people were rallying behind Edwin Sifuna. The question is, will he finally dump ODM party and say, I've formed my own party, or I'm joining Wiper, or I'm joining this other political party? That's very important, because if he will dump ODM party, the question is, will ODM supporters follow him to that direction? That's a very important question. And I know for sure, probably he has sat down and figured out how to navigate that question. The second question, which is the most important question for Edwin Sifuna, because that question can actually make him or break him. What position will he be going for in the united opposition? If they agree that, okay, the aim is to remove Ruto, what will he be going for? Because Edwin Sifuna has reached a stage where majority of Kenyans feels that he's the best. He's the fresh start. Tomorrow you wake up and you find Kalonzo is the presidential candidate. Edwin Sifuna is told, go back to Senate. Will he accept that? Will his supporters accept that? Because clearly, Edwin Sifuna is getting strange support base. People who are not comfortable with Ruto, and they're also not comfortable with the other camp. And now they are tipping up and they're converging at a point. If Sifuna will not be on the president, if Sifuna will not be on the ticket as a presidential candidate, will this group still stick with him? But what will be his impact if he says, for example, that he's going to defend his seat? Politically speaking, would Edwin Sifuna still be relevant if, say, he just decides to support this group without anything? And is there space for Edwin Sifuna within the united opposition. For me, the best ticket there would be Kalonzo Musyoka as the presidential candidate and Edwin Sifuna as the running mate. That would make sense. And that can now explain to me why, at some point, Kalonzo Musyoka made it very clear that for Edwin Sifuna, he can give him anything he wants. Very, very important. Because if you look at politics as a game of numbers, if you have the Kikuyus supporting that ticket, then you have the Kambas, then Sifuna will actually unite the Luyha nation. It will take a miracle for William Ruto to win. That's the realities. They have the numbers. But will the Gusii region agree to that arrangement? Which means it will have to take a lot of sacrifice from the opposition. And that's why I keep on saying that William Ruto is a shrewd politician. He's likely not going to allow these guys to unite. That's the second question. The third question, which is also very, very important, is the Babu Owino factor in all this. You see, for Sifuna is safe. He can become the running mate. Kama ni mbaya, he can go back to the Senate and win. What about Babu Owino? Rigathi has made it very clear that the governor for Nairobi is going to come from the mountain. Which means if the governor for Nairobi comes from the mountain, Sifuna can easily be supported as the senator again. Where will that leave Babu Owino? Because if you split or if you separate Babu and Sifuna, the whole momentum of that group is going to slow down. And again, Babu Owino is also making it very clear that in ODM party, he must be the party leader. And you know, most of these decisions will be made, in my view, by July. What will happen if Babu is not the ODM party leader? Then this group decides to start working together. And Babu Owino is not given a position. Then his demands. And that's why most people believe that Babu Owino might actually be making political miscalculations by supporting this group. Maybe I need to do another video about that. But the question of Babu Owino is right at the center of all this. Because bila Babu, itakuwa tabu kwa hii group. Number 4, you see, the main reason why political parties are formed is to acquire power. What is the potential of success in this group? That's something which Edwin Sifuna must sit down, take a pen and a paper, and calculate whether they can actually get 50% votes plus 1. If his vote can tilt the equation to plus 1. That's the question which Sifuna must actually ask. Because what would be the need of joining this team, then failing to win the presidency? While ODM are claiming that they're in power. Oburu is very clear. Hawawezi kabila power. And I have that t-shirt I was given by one of his supporters. Yeah, I don't know whether to put it on right now. That hatuwezi kabila power. Now, the logic is ODM currently claims that they're in power. Then you, Edwin Sifuna, you want them to win their own power. Then you go, you take them there, then they don't win. So the question about success is something which is there. But if you look at the numbers, now you remove any other mask and look at the numbers. The Kikuyus will vote together. The Kambas, if Kalonzo is the presidential candidate, you add the lawyers if Sifuna is probably the running mate. Yeah, you add to the rage of the young people. They have the numbers. But the question is, what if those numbers will not count? That's a very important question. And number 5, which is also a very important question for them. What happens if the opposition breaks apart? Because the only sure way of defeating Ruto, and that's exactly what Edwin Sifuna was alluding to there, is they must be united. The prayer William Ruto is making every morning when he wakes up and every night before he goes to sleep is that these guys should not unite. The question to Sifuna, or the question I know Sifuna is asking, what if this camp break? Likely, this camp can break into two. Matiang'i can insist to be on the ballot. Kalonzo must be on the ballot. Kalonzo must be on the ballot. Even if these guys agree on Sifuna as the presidential candidate, Kalonzo must be on the ballot. But the question is, if this team split, that we have Matiang'i there, we have Kalonzo there, or we have Rigathi camp here, we have Ruto camp here, which camp will Sifuna join? And with that breakage, is there the potential of success? And lastly, there is also the serious question of the Luo nation in all this. There's this assumption that all Luos are with Oburu, which is wrong. Personally, I don't see why I cannot support Oburu, because I've looked at his age. I'm looking around, who can take over. But I meet people in the streets there who tell me that Oburu is not the right pick. When Oburu was appointed, I explained on this platform that that appointment was the best. If Oburu had not been appointed, I can assure you, some people like even Babu, Sifuna, they're just sparing Oburu because of his age and the fact that he's Raila Odinga's brother. If that person had been someone else, let's say Joho had been appointed, because Joho at some point was even willing to resign to take over ODM party leadership after Raila's death. If it was Joho, or let's say if Sifuna had been appointed as the SG of the party, not as the SG really, but as the party leader. Or let's say the ODM brigades decided Simbarati. The kind of war we would have witnessed in ODM party. Yeah. So the question of the Luo, Sifuna, and now Rigathi. Because even as late as today, Rigathi Gachagua was still accusing William Ruto of taking developments to the Luo nation. So the Luo nation are not very happy with Rigathi. So even those who are supporting Sifuna from this region, and I know there are so many of them, almost 50-50. If the choice is going to be Sifuna going to Rigathi, they'll ask themselves several questions. That's I know for sure. And you can even read in the comments below. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.